Hey everybody, I'm Erica Carlson with Bricks Real Estate, bringing you market data, and I'd also want to share with you ways, agency is where I'm going with this, but the way you're going to feel about this information is like maybe ways to hire a realtor that are less than obvious. And so I think I'm going to dig into that first. And then if you're a home buyer, home seller, maybe just a homeowner and you're curious what's going on, the next thing I will cover is just briefly go over the data from the last week and just see where those trends are going and how that might impact the decisions you make. There was a Facebook, thread the other day where somebody just flat out said, "Do I need to hire a realtor to sell my house?" And of course the answer is no. You don't need somebody to cut your hair. You don't need somebody to paint your walls. You don't need to hire a lawyer even to represent you in court if you don't want to. It just comes down to the skill set, your comfort level. I definitely don't want this part of the video to be like, this is why you have to hire a realtor. I mean, that's easy for me to do. This is my job. Obviously, I believe in what I do, and I believe that a great real estate agent is worth every single penny. Unless, again, you're very, very comfortable with these topics, or maybe you're a lawyer or something like that. But even lawyers I've seen hire real estate agents. And I also think there's like a misperception of like the cost of things. And again, this isn't some big conversation about commission, but you do have the right to ask questions without it costing you money. So whether you're talking to a tradesperson or somebody like myself, you have every right to say, hey, what does this cost? So there are 4 different types of agencies I want to briefly talk about, which is the obvious ones first, which is, of course, someone can help you buy and sell. Now, what do I mean by selling? Well, I mean like full marketability, like the putting it on the MLS and trying to get you maximum exposure for your house. That the buying and selling part, I think everybody gets. I don't think there's any question about what that is. However, again, ask your agent what services they're providing and what they're not providing. Maybe there's something they do that's unusual or unique, to their business. There's every right for you to ask those questions. Dual agency, isn't really something you like raise your hand and ask for. We normally fall into dual agency. That's where the same agent represents both sides. Now, even though it's legal in Minnesota to get that type of agency, there's pros and cons to it, and not all agents will agree to it, and not all buyers and sellers will agree to it. So when you're in that situation, you want to ask a lot of questions before you agree to dual agency. Again, that's not really like something you like say, hey, this is what I want from my agent. So I know it's just a form of agency. It's not really, again, something you would ask for. Where I'm really heading with this conversation is facilitation. I don't know, I guess agents just haven't done a really good job of explaining that this is a service we provide. Facilitation is kind of like what it sounds like. It is where, here's a perfect example. Your cousin wants to buy your house. Maybe you need to buy your parents' house. Maybe you just want to buy your parents' house. So something like an interfamily transfer, or maybe you have a friend and they want to buy the house. So the consequence, we'll say, of making that decision is you're probably not getting the highest amount of money. You may be getting all the terms you want. And so, make those decisions wisely for yourself before you just make an emotional decision to, you could possibly be giving a lot of equity away is what I guess I'm dancing around. So again, that's a personal decision. So you've made that decision. You absolutely want to sell this property to your cousin and you don't need the marketing component. And so I think there's an assumption that real estate agents are going to charge you the same amount to do the interfamily transfer as it would be to market the house at like the full level. And for most agents, and I'm afraid to say that out loud, but I kind of come from the assumption, are not going to charge you the same amount. So what I encourage you to do is to pick up the phone and talk and ask questions. In that thread I was telling you about, somebody was saying, well, just get an attorney. Of course, you can always get an attorney to do these things. Attorneys may charge you a lot of money for the contractual work. And again, I would imagine don't come with any additional services. They're just going to help you get the paperwork done into the title company. But, again, don't come from the assumption that an attorney's cheaper. I think that's actually sort of an interesting comment. I don't typically find attorney fees to be inexpensive. So I would compare that to what a realtor would charge you. And I know if somebody called me and said, I know who I'm selling the house to. I just need to get the paperwork done. But I don't, again, I don't cut my own hair. I don't paint my own walls. I don't represent myself in a lawsuit. I am also not going to not represent. I'm not going to know how to do the paperwork. I want it done properly. So now I'm going to call a real estate agent to help. Now, to be very clear, facilitation doesn't come with representation. And so your real estate agent will tell you what fiduciary duties that they will give you for facilitation. And again, what is the cost? And so I would imagine different real estate agents would have different charges, just like anything else in life. So it just doesn't hurt to ask these questions before you assume that one thing's cheaper than the other, or that you have to do it yourself. What I found out in this thread is a lot of people gave me feedback that they had never heard this before. So thank you for letting me go on that bird walk. So without further ado, we're going to jump into this week's data to help you make the best decisions for.
Okay, let's start our data deep dive here in the Twin Cities at large, and then we'll go to Wright County. Notice the market meter, the little star has moved to the seller's side. So there is a little bit of a shift to our sellers. It's not big, but we're not in a balanced market anymore. And then as you look at inventory, notice it's still down over last year. Will people necessarily feel this as they're home shopping? No, because the likelihood that you were out shopping last year is unlikely, but I would like to show you some data in that regard to put it in perspective. Median days, 40, that's pretty comparable to what we're seeing in Wright County. And then in terms of interest rates, I always have to say I'm absolutely not a loan officer. So you can just see on the screen, we're now below 7. I think last week we were at 6.99. This is a base rate. It's not a particular lender, 30-year fixed. Absolutely must talk to a loan officer about your particular situation. So do kind of take that data just as a general way to see how things are going, not your particular situation. Moving into the Wright County data, these are the things that stand out to me. When I look at the 3 weeks, it really jumps out to me on that first column, excuse me, that the inventory continues to slide back in a remarkable way, actually. You look at just a couple weeks ago, there were more options, at least you were in the 400s. Now we've dipped below, and the word no on there means that there's 384 not contingent properties. Now, if I jumped over to my home search program, the MLS, and I showed you, I would quickly be able to show you that you don't really have 400 options, because if you just select it down to houses, that would knock things out quite a bit. If I said let's only shop in a certain price point, we would knock a lot of these out. So I know, I always hear myself share these videos with you weekly, and I say, oh, there's 400 houses available. Well, that includes townhouses, condos, other things. Again, it's all price points. So it's really I know it sounds like a lot. It's not a lot of properties when you narrow down your particular wants and needs. Jumping down to pending, it went up a little bit. Again, we kind of need to look at trends over time. So we're just seeing a nice increase going up of pendings, but nothing remarkable by any means. And then I do the last 30 days of closings, and those have also go down. Now, feeling a little bit like a broken record, but remember, 30 days ago was the holidays. 30 days before that was Thanksgiving. So not as many people were out there house shopping. So it's very predictable that the closings are going down. However, we are in that spring market. It's picking up. Again, we're pushing into that seller's market again. So don't get confused. Closings don't represent buying activity in the moment. Let me show you what I'm talking about. We look at the price point at $250 to $500K for this example. And that's just because we're picking averages, and we're talking about average showings per week per listing. So of course, when we average things together, it just helps us talk about things, but it is a little bit of an illusion, because let's say you're shopping in the 200s, that isn't the same as shopping in the 500s. And it's definitely, any of these numbers changes things significantly for sort of a common sense realization. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, you can always give me a call. So if you look at the last 3 weeks, We were under 3 showings per week per listing. Now we're a little over 3, 3.2 to be more precise. But again, I'm averaging things together. So I pulled this little screenshot just to show you what I'm talking about. This is very typical. Now I know there's a lot of numbers on the screen, and sorry you can't see me today, but if you look at it in a simple way, look at all the way to the left and then all the way to the right and sort of ignore everything else in the middle. It's not important. The 200 to 300 range, they're getting about 5 showings per week versus the 300s and the 400s are still in the 2 showings per week. So, let's go back to this. I tell you, there's 3 showings per week. Again, this is an average. And I've seen it the opposite. And I've told you guys that where we're in the 500s and they're seeing the most activity. Averages are important because it just gives us general data. But again, your particular house, you may want to know how competitive things are, what you can expect. So if I'm speaking generically, I'm going to tell you you should expect about 3 showings per week if you're in that 250 to 500K range. If you're in Hennepin County, it's more like 5 showings a week. So you can tell there's more buyer activity as typical in Hennepin County. Let's look back at last week. It was a little faster pace, but then it was slower the week before. Hennepin's been kind of bopping up and down. I imagine, again, because there's different properties that are creating different interest levels. It's nothing to overthink about. Just because it was faster paced last week and it's slower this week, maybe some of those people went under contracts. Some of those really hot properties went off the market. Who knows? There's so many variables. Hennepin County is obviously, Wright County, it is, I'm looking at counties. This is immense amount of area. But anyway, it's picking up. That's the bottom line on this. Days on market does look like it's going up a hair at 51.5 average and 26 median. However, again, it's pretty flat overall. When you look at trends, it's just kind of staying in the same direction. If you are interested, of course, I can offer you a market report. It's in the link. If you click on it, no matter what platform you're finding me in, that link is taking you to my contact information where you can follow me on social media, get a market report. I have them pre-made for Delano, St. Michael, Rockford, and Buffalo. If you want a different city, you are going to have to reach out to me directly and ask for it. But ideally, we get one for your neighborhood. That is where a market report shines. And I've done lots of videos and lots of conversations about why this is a powerful tool. I know it's not for everybody. It's probably best used for people who are thinking about selling a house, but it could be for somebody who owns a house and wants to keep traction of what's going on. If you're a buyer, it will give you some data you may find useful. Obviously, you can unsubscribe at any time. This is intended to be of help to you.
So if you made it to the end, I really appreciate you sharing, liking, commenting. It always feels like doing videos is talking to yourself, and then every once in a while one of you comments and reminds me that I'm not in some sort of cave or office in this case talking to myself. So I really appreciate that. If there's anything I can do, you can reach me at iheartmplshomes.com. That's my main website. You can read my bio. You can learn how I can help you buy and sell properties. I would absolutely love to hear from you. And if you can refer me to somebody, that's even great too. Have a fantastic week.